This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody is doing well, staying safe, washing your hands, practicing social distancing. You know the drill by now. As we always start out our show, and we will continue, we want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers, as well as all our essential employees here. When you look at grocery stores, truck drivers, all these people, everybody, we want to thank you guys putting yourself out there. Look, I know when you talk about first responders and healthcare workers, they do it every single day. It's just a part of the process. It's part of the life. It's what they love doing. And having a significant other that works in these hospitals and hearing the stories of how the community has rallied around them, as well as how upbeat the hospitals are taking this virus on. This is no easy matter, but we're going to get through this. We're getting great signs moving forward, possibly opening up our community a little bit at a time here. It's a good sign for us. Sports is such a small part right now of what's going on. We're talking some football with you. We know that, sports is a great outlet, but we want to thank all the essential employees out there. And, Coach, I know you feel the same way. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing fine, and I certainly feel the same way. I echo everything that you've said, and we also every week thank our sponsors for keeping us in a position to maybe give people an hour here of interesting talk, a little distraction from what's going on.
Absolutely, and we have so much to talk about in so little time. Coach, I know a great friend of yours, Bill Polian, is going to join us at 12:15. Of course, Bill Polian, the scout, coach, GM, team president, head of football for the AAF. And don't forget, a Hall of Famer. This man has done it all. An awesome guy right here when you look at Bill Polian, and it's going to be a lot of fun to talk to him.
Oh, it is. I'll tell you, it's quite a treat for our audience, for anybody, to have a chance. And you probably see quite a bit on ESPN and other national shows that feature, any information about the league, about draft, about personnel, anything to do with football. And Bill's one of the best, outstanding, very talented guy who's been through it all, by the way, from coaching to scouting to right on up the ladder. And he's done a great job at every stop, and he's a great guy to boot. So just a great opportunity for our audience.
Absolutely, and as we always do, we'll break down. We worked our way through the SEC. Today we're in the ACC, starting yesterday with Boston College. Today we get to talk about the Clemson Tigers, and with the Clemson Tigers, there's always plenty to talk about. Moving on, Coach, I want to jump into a couple things here before Bill Polian comes on at 12:15. Interesting story, great story, just with everything going on right now. We hear people donating money and donating time and things like this. Well, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, if you haven't heard of him, he's an offensive lineman for the, Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs. He was wondering how he could help fight the outbreak of coronavirus, and he was told the best thing he can do is spread the message of social distancing. Well, this is a guy that, if you didn't know, has a medical degree. So, of course, a local hospital for him, he wanted to go and submit some of his time. And he asked the Chiefs, and the Chiefs said, absolutely, go out there, do whatever you can, just be safe. And, now he's inside the hospitals. This is a guy that's in there helping them. Like I said, he's working more of a nursing role and having a significant other coach that is a nurse right now at a local hospital. It's awesome to hear something like this from an NFL star to bring himself back. A lot of people, when you look at stars, all you hear is the glory and everything and all the publicity and all this stuff going on. He said it's so much fun to get back because this is what he went to school for. He has a degree in this, and he said the night before he felt nervous. He said like a game. It was almost like going and playing in the Super Bowl. He said it's crazy for people to think about it, but for me, that's the way I felt. And he has so much fun going in there and helping these people and seeing these people beat COVID-19. Coach, I think this is just an absolute amazing story. And remember, his team drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU in the first round, and they asked him about it. He said, I didn't find out till the next morning. I was working. So what a great story.
Yeah, it is a great story. Absolutely. And then, listen, there's so many players that are doing so much in raising money for the victims and so on. So but we got to be proud of that.
Absolutely. And, Coach, moving on, talking about the NFL draft here. Now, one of the big questions is, when are these guys going to be signed? Let's remember, with everything going on, it's not exactly easy to get physicals done and everything. And since the 2011 labor deal kind of removed most of the items about which team and draft picks can haggle, a lot of teams quickly sign most of their incoming rookies. Well, right now, it's not necessarily the case, but Coach, I'm going to deflect this to you. When you look at this right now, do you think that a lot of these teams, like especially a team like Cincinnati Bengals, they'll rush to sign a guy like Joe Burrow? And I know, we're going to stay positive. We feel there's going to be a season, but with the possibility of not having a season or not knowing, being able to bring your doctors in there to give this guy a physical, what do you see happening right now with signing draft picks?
Well, I think it depends from draft pick. Now, you could bet Cincinnati will move very quickly to get something signed with Joe Burrow, and they've got quite a bit of information and experience with his everything from the doctors to the physical treatment and trainers, you name it. At LSU. And so they've got plenty, and they've looked into this before the draft. So I'm not concerned about Joe Burrow, but it would be that 6th and 7th round pick that you don't know and you haven't had a chance to give a physical to. There's going to be some hesitancy there, but at some point they're going to be able to get them in, though. JP, that's what you got to look at, and I'm sure they will have a multitude of medical people ready to do physicals. The first 2 or 3 days that they're there will probably be devoted to nothing but getting through with the physicals and getting people signed. So there'll be a method, a way to do it, and really doesn't shouldn't be too much of a concern.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think for some of the guys, it's a no-brainer. You know they're healthy. They're good. Other guys, it's interesting. Even talking about a guy like Tua, do they go ahead and sign him? We'll find out. But just like you said, things are starting to change now. Guys are going to be able to get their physicals and move on. Coach, I want to move over to something. I want to slip this one in there.
Hey, one thing we have to think about now with Tua, with Burrow and Tua. They're already married. The ceremony is over. Heck yeah, they're going to sign him as soon as they possibly can. They're not going to back the ceremony out. It's done. The vows have been given. They're married, so go sign them.
That's a great point. You go ahead and get that pick that early like that. Yeah, you're right, Coach. You are married. That's a valid point right there, Coach. I slipped this question in here because a little bit of a homer myself with the Tennessee Titans. But look, Jadeveon Clowney, we know the Seahawks. He came over from the Texans in the deal. The Texans paid about half of his salary. Well, now he comes up and they're looking to restructure his contract. He wants about $16.5 million. And the Seahawks say no. Now, Clowney has come out and said he'll lower his price to $17 million because whenever the Seahawks said no, he said he wanted $18. Now, this is obviously a number that's going to continue to fall. I don't think a whole lot of teams want to take a chance on a guy, which he can be impactful, but he's been injured. He's missed a lot of games, not had the impact that a lot of people thought he would coming out. But, Coach, when you look at Jadeveon Clowney, right now the top 2 teams that are looking to pick him up from the rumors of Adam Schefter is the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns. Have you heard anything about the Tennessee Titans possibly with Jadeveon Clowney?
I haven't, but this is a good question that we could ask Bill Foley. We got so many things to talk to him about, but we could slip that one in, and it'll be a quick answer. I'm sure one way or the other he has or he hasn't, but it would stand to reason, quite frankly, that he has.
Yeah, I would agree. They, of course, trading off Jarrell Casey this year, for a 5th-round pick. They need some help, and they didn't exactly have a great draft. We talked about that yesterday. But nonetheless, Coach, I want to move on to one of our local teams here, the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints assistant GM kind of took a mild shot here at Bruce Arians, depending on how you want to look at it, saying Breeze is an incredible leader. He's an incredible studier of the game, how he breaks down his opponents. And then you throw in offensive coordinator Pete Michael, quarterbacks coach Joe Lombardi, and Sean Payton on the offensive side of the ball. With those creative minds, Jameis Winston will learn more football in a year than he has in a lifetime. Now, Coach, we know that Bruce Arians is, some consider him the quarterback whisperer, but my question to you is, when you look at Jameis Winston here, and they're trying to work out that 1-year deal, can he be coached out of turnovers that plagued him for so many years? This goes back to FSU in that final year at FSU, his sophomore year. My question saying that is, look, it's different if a guy has a year where he comes out of college and he was a gunslinger and now you're teaching him. He's had 4 years in the NFL of just that mentality, turnovers. Yes, he has a big arm. He has a lot of possibilities. But is this a guy that you believe with the Saints could possibly be the guy maybe? Or not only that, but can he still be a great quarterback and be coached out of those turnovers?
Well, you've asked a multitude of questions there at one time. Let's back up to what I think, what I've heard, and I have great reliance in this information. They have set up, what they've set up is the same situation that they had last year, where they have, of course, Breeze, and then a quarterback, quote, quarterback only, to back him up in case he gets injured during a ball game or he's out for a couple of ball games or whatever. And then they have a guy named Taysom Hill, who nobody knows how to qualify. I think this is what's going to happen with a couple of other people too, because it's a great situation to have. It's like having an extra player on your roster. Taysom Hill does so many things for them, which is so valuable. He's like he can be like a tight end. He's a big, strong kid who can run. Maybe the fastest guy on their football team is what I've heard. At his size and strength, he can run. He can block. So he could be a tight end, even an inline tight end, if they have to call on him to get down in there tight next to the tackle. Certainly in the slot, and even split out wide. So he can give you all that versatility up front. Also, he can be in the backfield and run with the football, plus the run pass, the play action, the pass off that he can throw. He can line up at the quarterback position, take a snap, and give you any number of things from, to have a small, I'd say any number of things, that have maybe a package with 4 different things that he would do from the quarterback position. It's amazing what he can do and how much he contributes to a football team. But now doing all that, you can't rely on him, JP, to be your backup quarterback totally and just relegate him to being a backup quarterback, because you got to have a guy ready to go play quarterback and somebody that's going to be taking the hits and exposing himself as much as Taysom Hill is right now. You can't really have him as your only alternative if something happens to Breeze. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, they don't want to lose that versatility. They don't want to lose that extra guy on their roster. So what do? You bring in another quarterback, just like they did last year, and you have him ready to play in case you need him if something happens to Breeze. So that's the main thing that they're looking at. Now, can they help with Jameis Winston's
turnovers,
all the turnovers, the interceptions, and fumbles and so on, especially the interceptions, 30 interceptions, that's unbelievable. Yes, they can. To answer your question directly, yes, they can. They can by restricting how he is evaluating or reads a pattern, for example. I'm sure they're going to take him to a 1, 2, 3, teach him a lot of pre-snap look, a lot to do with the pre-snap look. Where he has his problem is identification after the pre-snap look, when they change coverages or make it look like one coverage and change to another, or they double people inside what looks like a true man coverage, and they've got somebody doubled. And but what they'll do is they'll probably go to a 1-2-3, meaning throw to this guy, or this guy. And if they can't handle that, it'll be a 1-2. Go to this guy. If he's not open, throw it to this guy. If he's not open, tuck it and run or throw it away. But they'll cut the interceptions down. They can cut the interceptions down. Yes, the answer is yes. But I think it's important to realize how that is set up in New Orleans. It's different than any other team in the National Football League, with the exception of coming up this year, another team will look pretty much like that, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, it's a good move for the Saints because it's basically the same thing, like you said, of what they did last year. Interesting to see what they turn Jameis. And Jameis, maybe Jameis is the guy, but regardless, I think, Coach, it can't hurt to bring him in there with those offensive minds like the assistant GM said. Nonetheless, Coach, we got to go to a break. When we come back, Bill Polian will join us right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you, and we have a special guest. We appreciate him so much joining us on the show. Coach, I know he's a tremendous friend of yours. We've had him on the show before. Scout, coach, GM, team president, head of football for the AAF, Hall of Famer. I mean, the list goes on and on, Coach. Bill Polian joining us today.
You bet. What a treat it is to have Bill on, and number one, and number two, how applicable this is with the draft just getting over, and people still debating, as we always do after a draft. And Bill, thanks so much for being on with us.
Oh, glad to be here, Kay.
And let me preface by saying that we know that it takes 2 to 3 years probably to fully determine what the productivity for each team's draft is, but that's not the way the game's played with the public. It's become quite popular, more and more popular every year, and it's more and more how did you do and who did good and who did bad. Now, all 32 teams want to claim a victory. This is the time of year when you can't lose. You're only going to win. But having said that, there are some I think that were big winners in this year's draft, based on whatever due diligence is available to us. So let's start there. And where do you see the biggest, maybe the biggest improvement coming through the draft?
Well, I think, keep in mind, as you said, that all we're doing here is ranking how these teams did relative to picking guys that the experts said should be picked there. Put the experts in italics and quotation marks. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So that's all these rankings end up being. Having said that, I think you start with both Miami and Los Angeles Chargers sitting there and not taking the bait from Detroit to go up, and just sitting there and getting their guys, Tagovailoa and Herbert. So kudos to them. They didn't give up any currency. In Miami's case, they had a lot, and then they put themselves in position to get their quarterback of the future. So that's good. And in Miami's case, I think if Tua can hold up physically, they've got a gem. In Herbert's case, I think he's got some growth still to do, but I like him too. So I think both of those guys did really well. I always, and I learned this from you, I always divide the draft into three parts. The first is the first and second round, because those guys you want to come in and make a contribution right away and hope to have them become starters in their second year. Third round is a round where you're kind of guessing. That's the round where guys who either have missing PQs, slow speed or something like that, or too small, or else, all the PQs but no production ends up. That's the take a chance round. And if you hit on somebody there, that's great. And if you don't, that's par for the course. And then from 4 on down, these guys are guys that the odds are heavily stacked against. So you're relying on two things. Number one, your blueprint for what you want on your football team. How do you want to play? What are your systems? And two, how good is your scouting staff? So it's divided three ways. And I think that as people look at what their favorite team did, they probably need to think in those terms. Now, let's use the Saints as an example. I think they got a really good player in Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan, and they'll probably use him at guard the first year, and then maybe shuffle the existing center over to guard. But he's going to play. He's a good player. They did not have a second round pick, but they got Zach Bond in the third round, who I think is a pretty solid player. I think he's going to come in and win a job. And then in the third round, with the 105th pick, they got Adam Troutman, tight end from Dayton, and I think he'll need a little break-in period, but he's a guy that I think he's going to be a contributor and a pretty good one in time. So I thought they had a pretty good draft, and they only had 4 picks. The 7th round pick was Tommy Stevens, a quarterback from Mississippi State, but that's not a bad draft. Conversely, the Eagles took Jalen Reagor with their number 1 pick, wide receiver from TCU. Good, solid player. You could argue that there might have been better guys out there, but it's to each his own. But then with the second round pick, they take Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma quarterback, which fans down your way are very familiar with from his time at Alabama. And the guy's a winner and a good athlete, but I don't know where he fits behind Carson Wentz. How much is he going to play?
Here just a minute, Bill? Do you
Yes.
think that if this is the case, I think this could be a good pick for Philadelphia. But don't you think that this is to duplicate the Saints with the extra guy on the roster, like a Taysom Hill, that Jalen
Yeah, I
Hurts
agree.
has?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
then he becomes a very valuable player if they utilize him that way, and he works at it, which I'm sure he will. He's a great kid. Then he becomes another Taysom Hill, which could be a heck of a compliment to their offense. He's talented.
Yeah, he is. He's a talented player with the ball in his hands. I don't know that he's a good enough passer to be a quarterback in the NFL, but
Right.
We'll see. But you're right. He's a Taysom Hill type player. Now, do you take that guy with the 53rd pick in the draft? Who knows? I mean, that's all.
Yeah.
Now their third pick was Devin Taylor, an outside linebacker from Colorado, who I think is really a pretty good player. So that wasn't bad, but the Hurts pick was at least interesting and certainly in Philadelphia controversial. Minnesota, I thought, did a great job. They had glaring holes on their roster because they had to trade the receiver to the Bills, and they got a 1 for him, and they essentially wiped out their cornerback position. So they come out of the box and get Justin Jefferson, who I thought was among the better receivers in the draft. And he will step in and play right away, I think. And and in the second round, they got at the 31st pick, they got Jeff Gladney, a really good cover corner from TCU. And I'm sorry, that was the 31st pick of the first round. And then in round 2, they got Ezra Cleveland, an offensive tackle from Boise State, who I think is a pretty darn good prospect. So, and then they had a lot of other picks, but those three I thought were really quite good, and so that's a team that was drafting 22nd and 31st, and I think they did a really good job. So from team to team, it varies. Chicago did not have a first-round pick. They took Cole Kmet, tight end from Notre Dame, and with the 43rd pick, that's right where he should have gone. And he's a good, solid player. If you remember Mark Bavaro, he's sort of he's not quite as powerful as Mark Bavaro, but similar. And then with another pick in the second round, they took Jalen Johnson, a cornerback from Utah, who's a really good player, but he's had 2 shoulder surgeries, so that's a little bit of a question mark. So that wasn't a sexy draft, so I'm sure that they're getting a lot of heat in Chicago. But I think it's, I think they did pretty well, honestly. The Lions were at pick number 3, and they should have done well. So, and they did. They got Okudah from Ohio State, DeAndre Swift, a really good running back from Georgia, and Julian Okwara, a really good rusher from Notre Dame, and then an additional third-round pick that they got from the Colts, Jonah Jackson, who's a pretty good guard from Ohio State. So they were at 3, and they didn't foul it up. They did well. So just a little bit of an overview. I think, as you say, everybody's undefeated on draft day. And hope springs eternal, and we'll know 3 years from now how well everybody did.
Right. I really had some trouble with, for example, with Atlanta's draft. What did they overreach in that first round? Oh my God! And according to every bit of information I had, is A.J. Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. I think by most people was rated a third rounder. You know, but at any rate, that looks rather questionable. A team that has really helped themselves, I think, has been Tampa Bay. With Brady and Gronkowski, and then I know this is a lot of people say, well, you're talking temporarily. If you got a chance to go for the gold, go for it. You know, we've talked about that. Then they get with their 13th pick, they get supposedly the best tackle in the draft, the Worth from Iowa. You get a good safety, Winfield from Minnesota, and running back that's not too bad, even down to Calais, the running back from Louisiana Lafayette. You know, is supposed to be an excellent guy in the backfield catching the football. So I don't know. It looks to me like Tampa Bay has really helped themselves quite a bit. Certainly in the overall.
I agree. If Brady and Gronk stay healthy, it's a goal for the goal of the year for them. And they did a good job acquiring Wirfs and Winfield. And I like Vaughn, the running back from Vanderbilt. The running back's the one position I worry about with them. So, we'll see how these guys pan out. But that's the one area where they're not really, they don't have a difference maker. But everywhere else, they're improved, and we'll see what they do with O.J. Howard too. He might be trade bait here before too long.
That's so true. San Francisco didn't hurt themselves. I guess getting Kinlaw, most of the people I've talked to felt like he was certainly the second best next to Brown at Auburn, but Kinlaw was a guy inside there. Tackle couldn't move him around, depending on it's a 3 or 4-man front. And a lot of people like the receiver, a Yook from Arizona State, as a run after the catch type guy. So they may have helped themselves.
That's right. Kinlaw, Ayuk's an interesting guy. Kinlaw will fit fine in that 4-man front. In fact, he's playing to his strengths in that situation, and he'll be a big addition to their rush front. But I like Ayuk. He's a guy who's a bit of a straight liner, but he's got speed. He catches the ball, he fights for the ball, and he does well with the ball in his hands after the catch. So he's a guy that I think is going to fit pretty well in their offense.
Yeah, let me ask you about two guys here. Speaking of the 49ers, get your opinion on them because I've got, well, I won't say. Charlie Warner, the tight end that they got from Georgia, and Juwan Jennings, receiver they get from Tennessee, round 6 and 7.
Yeah, well, Charlie Warner is a really good blocking tight end. I mean, Georgia has a great running game, and the tackle that went to the Giants and the other Isaiah Wilson, the other tackle, are part of it, but so is Charlie Warner. So that's a complementary player that really fit for them because what they got at tight end is all those great athletic guys out there that make big plays. But I really like Charlie Warner. Let me just get to my notes on Jennings because he's a guy that I only looked at on film. I didn't see live. So let me just refer back to my notes here. He is a downfield guy, and played in an offense that really didn't have a quarterback who settled in and did much of anything. They changed quarterbacks about 3 times during the year. So he's a 6'3", 205, kind of a skinny guy, big target, large catch radius. He'll go fight for the ball. He's really tough after the catch. He finishes well, and he'll hit you. and he's really physical as a blocker. He's not a guy that has great twitch or sudden separation. He's more of a power receiver. So, but keep in mind that, and I know you know this, that's a almost a pure West Coast passing game. So they want size, girth, and run after the catch, and he's got that.
That's true. That is very true. He may fit that system better than most people realize. Well, there's so many more I'd like to go over. I have to check with you. I've got a question here, a couple of questions that I need to ask real quick. One of them, JP, our host here, he's a big Tennessee fan, the Titans up there. And there's a lot of rumor going around about Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe Tennessee could end up with him from Seattle. What are you hearing about that?
Who is that from Seattle? Oh, Jadeveon Clowney. I'm sorry.
Jadeveon
I didn't hear it clearly. One thing I know about Clowney, he's going where the best offer is. So it's that simple. Yeah. So if they make the best offer, they'll get him. It isn't Music City or barbecue or anything like that will interest Clowney being close to home. It's going to be pure old greenbacks. So if they make the best offer, they'll get him. Now, they certainly can use him.
Yeah,
the problem is, do you want to pay a guy who has been injured throughout his career? I mean, that's the bottom line. And as you said earlier, when you're going for the gold, and they're close to it now, they're going to have to fight off Indianapolis, who really, really improve themselves.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And they got to rush. They're going to have to rush Phillip Rivers. So it may well be worth saying, look, this guy will play 10 games a year for us, or maybe 9 games a year for us, but he'll make a difference when it counts. So as long as it's those two against Indianapolis, they may get their money's worth, but we'll see.
Good point. Very good point. I'll tell you, and we didn't hit Indianapolis, but I think they had an excellent day. And of course, you got to put the first round pick, the trade of the defensive lineman from San Francisco. So they put that in the mix, and they had a heck of a day.
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
An interesting thing, I think, Bill, will be if the quarterback at Buffalo, if he's wild as a March hare. We know that. He's got a good arm, and he's very athletic and a good-looking kid and all that. But gosh, he has trouble finding the right guy to go to all the time. And then when he does, sometimes he throws the ball into trouble. If I make a prediction, if he's not careful, very careful, Jake Fromm could end up being the quarterback at Buffalo. I think that was a heck of a pick. I like Jake Fromm.
I agree completely. I think Josh Allen has a chance to be good. I spent a little time with him in the off season. He's a great kid. He wants to be good. He works at it. But he's got to keep himself healthy. He has got to get out of his head the idea that he's Cam Newton, because he's not. It's already been proven that he's been knocked out of games time and again. He's been knocked out for significant periods of time because he's reckless when he runs the ball. He's got to learn to protect himself. And by the way, Carson Wentz suffers from the same disease. Those guys got to learn that you can't do in the NFL what you did in college. So that's number one. And then number two, he's got to learn to be accurate with the football. And Fromm is the exact opposite. He's accurate with the football. He makes all the right reads. He'll deliver the ball on time. Is his arm the strongest? No. Is he the most athletic? No. but as we both know, that's not what it takes to play quarterback. You know, you start with accuracy and then you go to processing. Those are the first two things that a quarterback has to have, and quickness of release. Fromm has those things in spades. So not only did the Bills make a good pick in getting themselves a guy who can be a quality backup, but as you say, he's got to be ready to play, because in Josh Allen's case, I mean, he's been injured the first 2 years. So if Fromm's got to get ready now. And interestingly, this is something that I haven't heard spoken about a lot, but football people like you and I know this, and fans need to understand it. With the way, the fact that there'll be no off-season program, it'll only be virtual, which means meetings only. No on-field work, no real weight room work where they can get their hands on the guy and find out, especially rookies, and find out what they need. Each individual player is different, as you know. These rookies are going to be way, way behind whenever camp begins.
Yes.
Way behind.
Yeah.
So asking them to come in, all the stuff we hear on draft day, if you listen to the television, this guy will be contributing immediately. He's a big upgrade. No, he isn't. He's going to have a hard time finding his way to the weight room and the cafeteria. So, don't judge what happens to this class by what happens this year, because it's so untoward.
That is so true, so true. And the only reason I mentioned that, Fromm is so competitive, and he's got such great football IQ. I call it, just football savvy. And you got to remember now, his senior year, he didn't lose the two starting receivers. He lost all four of the receivers from Georgia. You can't lose four receivers and have a very productive year. But anyway, I want to, so many things I want to get into. Bill, if I could impose on you to come back in a few days, and let's talk about, we need to talk in detail about the season. Is there going to be a season? Certainly there has to be a season. You can't keep football away from the American public. But what it's going to be, how it's going to be constructed, and how it's going to unfold, I'm sure there are a number of different options on the table. So if you could come back and talk about that with us in a few days, I would appreciate it.
Glad to do it, Kay.
Okay, and thanks so much for coming on today. I've held you a long time, but a lot to talk about. Thanks, Bill. Thanks so much.
All right, my pleasure. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's Bill Polian right there joining us. We appreciate it. Great insight from the draft. Going to be excited to hear what he has to say with the season as well, of all the question marks that are going on right now. Just great to talk some NFL football, just some draft, and all. Like I said, the great insight he has, the knowledge he has, is just so much fun to listen to each and every time he joins us on the show. Listen, we got to take a break. We're a little behind right here. When we come back, we're going to talk about, the Clemson Tigers. Some of you may be scoffing a little bit, but Dabo and those guys are ready and ramped up to go no matter when the season starts. Clemson when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19.
This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe. We're talking some football with you. Again, major thanks right there to Bill Polian joining us on the show. Going to be excited to hear what he has to say again about the season upcoming, but good to talk some NFL draft with him. Always fun to have him on the show. Coach, as we have been for, a few weeks now, breaking down some teams, working our way. We worked our way through the SEC. We started with the ACC yesterday in Boston College. A team may get you a little more excited, a team in the Clemson Tigers. Now, no doubt Clemson, what Dabo Swinney has done has been absolutely phenomenal, transforming that team and what he's done, not only just from the wins and losses, but recruiting and just the way he has built that program up has been fun to watch. Alabama fans may disagree a little bit, but you know what? That's part of the fun in all this. Talking about the 2019 Clemson Tigers, of course, finishing 14-1, losing to LSU in the national championship. A team that scored almost 44 points a game, which was fourth in FBS football, giving up 13 points a game, which was third in FBS football. This is a team that, when you look at them, just so much fun to watch, and you saw all those guys getting drafted on draft day. This was a talented football team. The one thing, we'll talk about a little bit of this year's team in just a second as we talk about the schedule real quick going through. Opening up the season on the road in Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech, then back home for 3 games against Louisville, Akron, and Virginia, then on the road to take on Boston College, and then on the road again to take, which will be a little bit interesting game this year, Florida State, then back home for 2 games against NC State and Syracuse. Then this will be such a fun game, taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the road right there. Then back home for take on the Citadel, then on the road to take on Wake Forest, and finishing off against the rivalry game at home right there in South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. Coach, when you look at this team, it's a team that, when you look at the spring practice, now Clemson had 9 practices before it was shut down. That's a major, major help. I know it's just 9 practices, some people may be saying. It doesn't matter. This is a team that are replacing 4 or 5 offensive linemen. Now, that's probably the only negative when I look at this team. Of course, they recruit so well, top 5, top 3 recruiting classes every single year. It is no different this year. The one thing, Coach, after looking at some of the spring film, looking at the highlights and things for guys, the freshmen are legit. They have some guys that this is going to be so much fun to watch. This defensive line, they have guys like Brian Breesy and Miles Murphy. They're absolute monsters. This is something, of course, the coaching staff coming out and saying that they were excited of what they saw of these guys. Not to mention they have 2 more guys in E.J. Williams and DeMonte Capehart, and then a guy in Trenton Simpson. These guys are all freshmen coming in that they are just absolutely excited about. We know that this is a team that reloads every single year. Now, the other part of this, when you look at the depth at running back, it's still phenomenal. They pretty much did not lose anybody. Travis Etienne, we know how good he is. Lynn J. Dixon's back. Chase Malusi, Michael Dukes, Darian Rencher, they're all back, and they're adding 2 more talented freshmen to join the team. Now, we'll see if some of those guys change positions, but nonetheless, you talk about the depth. That's where champions are built right there, is that depth. The backup quarterback battle. We know Trevor Lawrence is the guy that's most likely will be his final year, and he may be the first pick in next year's draft. We'll see. We still got a long way to go. But they still have a guy, DJ Ugalele, who was, I remember, being the 5-star top quarterback prospect. This is a guy that is waiting for his chance. They also have Tyson back there as a 4-star prospect who's a pure dual threat guy, but we'll see what happens. Nonetheless, Coach, when you look at this, the offensive line, they're going to grow up. They'll go through a little growing pains probably to start off with. But when I look at this team, that's the only downside of this. I know Georgia, of course, replacing their offensive line. This is a team, we know Trevor Lawrence, they're going to go how far he will go. But when you look at the depth, it's hard for me to look and say Clemson and Alabama saying they're not going to make the playoff just because of the depth. When I look at Clemson, they play in the ACC, so it'll be a little bit probably easier for them than Alabama to make it. But, Coach, this is a team that continues to reload every single year, and you can never count the Clemson Tigers out.
Well, that's true, and they've certainly done a great job up there putting that program on sound footing year in, year out. This next year, I mean, it's hard to see them losing a ball game, even though I think they've got two tough games on the road at Notre Dame and at Florida State. But other than that, I just can't see them losing a ball game. I don't really see them losing a ball game to either one of those two. So it's just going to be a matter of how they get through the season from an injury standpoint, and how they end up when you get to the pairing and so on in the championship rounds. But they got to be the odds-on favorite to win the national championship, I would think. It's Clemson and Alabama. I really believe we're down to that again. But it's going to be a great year for Clemson and be a great year to keep up with them. I really don't see them losing a ball game.
Yeah, Coach, the one question I'll ask about Clemson is them having 9 spring practices when some teams didn't have any or maybe had 1 or 2. How impactful are those 9 practices for them? I mean, you've been there, you've coached, Coach, you've played at the highest level, understanding what you can get out of 9 practices for how many early enrollees they had on this team and replacing so many guys with freshmen and things like that. How important are those 9 practices?
Well, they're very important, especially when you consider they're losing 4 offensive linemen. One of the most difficult places to teach and get proficiency early on is with your offensive line. So 9 days there would be very important. And I'm sure that they've had their offensive line coach totally with these new kids coming in to replace those 4. They've been matched together. They've been put together all spring as much as they possibly can with technology anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a Clemson Tiger team that, again, like you said, Coach, between them and Alabama, maybe you can slip in Ohio State because Ohio State will probably reload as well. We'll see what happens. That's part of the fun in all this. Is Clemson, though, that's a team that, you know what, a lot of people find ways to disagree with Dabo, don't like Dabo, but it's so much fun to watch those guys play. Just the way he does it as well. He is a very confident, coach in his players. I mean, he just exudes that passion, and it's a little bit different than a guy like Saban, who's more of a heap to himself, calm type guy. When you look at a guy like Bill Belichick, Dabo is the exact opposite. He's out there running around, jumping, getting his guys excited. But it's always fun to talk about Clemson. And look, Coach, we got to go to a break. When we come back for our last segment of the show, start off by talking about the Patriots draft. Now, they're taking a lot of flack for not taking a quarterback. But, Coach, I want to get some insight from you and get some interesting perspective on maybe why they did that. Maybe there's some belief there in their own quarterback room. All that and more when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text. Stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range, Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Viagra 100 milligram generic is finally here. Get it today. 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. You heard right. Viagra 100 milligram generic is less than $3 a tablet. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy and cash in on the savings today. 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. Final couple minutes here on this Tuesday afternoon. Coach, I want to talk about this a lot. The Patriots taking a lot of flack for not drafting a quarterback. Look, Bill Belichick even went on to say, look, Jarrett Stidham had a good year last year. He improved a lot. We'll see where that takes him. When you look at their draft, no quarterbacks, like I said, going Kyle Duggar there in the second round. They drafted plenty of guys. Look, there was a lot of a need for that defense to rebuild as well, but they got a couple tight ends. They got a kicker. Look, this is a team that, of course, once the draft was over, they signed Brian Lewerke and Jamar Smith, the quarterback out of Louisiana Tech, which I think will be more of a hybrid-type player for him. I don't think he'll play quarterback. But, Coach, when you look at this, does this mean that Jarrett Stidham is the guy, or is there any I guess, hope here, people talking about Cam Newton going to the Patriots?
No, I don't see Cam Newton going to the Patriots at all. And listen, you have to understand, they had their quarterback all last year, including all the practices. People say, well, he only threw 4 passes in the season last year. But what you don't understand is that he practiced every day. And there are many days, because they kept Tom Brady out of practice, there's some days he had all the reps to himself. So they got a good look at him last year, and a good feel for what he can do, how he operates a football team, leadership, all the things that you look for in a quarterback. They got a better feel than anybody could have. So it's not like throwing something out there that they're not familiar with. I think they're familiar with him. They feel good about him, and I think they're off and running here. I don't really see him bringing in a veteran at all. I really don't.
Yeah, I would agree, Coach. I think that one thing when anytime anybody questions Belichick and what he does in the draft, it seems that he always comes out on top. Now, some people are saying, well, Brady's not there to bail him out anymore. Well, no matter how you feel about that, I still think that they got a lot of good pieces. He understands he needs to rebuild that defense with some guys that are leaving. He got the tight end. Look, nothing's more helpful to a quarterback than a big blanket tight end there. So I think it'll be fun to watch the Patriots. Interesting to see. I think there is a lot of faith there in a guy like Jarrett Stidham. But nonetheless, that sound means it's time for us to go, Coach. We appreciate Bill Polian joining the show. We didn't get to everything we wanted to as usual, but we'll be back tomorrow.
You bet. Look forward to it, JP.
Absolutely, Coach. We appreciate our listeners out there as well. Look, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
It's First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and of course ESPN News. Let's get you started as we do every hour with some headlines that you need to know. The 2019-2020 French football season is effectively over after the Prime Minister announced no sporting events will take place until at least September. So while unveiling France's plan to exit confinement, said that all sports must remain prohibited in the coming months. That means that there'll be no League One and League Two return for May and mid-June, and puts further pressure on the UEFA